I had no doubt that working with you, we will give out a great product. And that was something I think we achieved. What was way beyond my expectation is not only the quality of guests we had, but the quality of conversations we had. The amount of learning that I had through this year, and I thought I knew everything.
The learning for me has been extraordinary. And to be taught all of the things that I've learned through this
Absolutely.
process has been a huge gift to me.
And to me as well, the last 1 year has been a game changer for us as an organization, for me as a person. My understanding of the issues have deepened so many folds. I can't even explain.
I watched it sort of sharpen your vision on what it is that you're wanting to go after. There are greater objectives that we're looking to achieve. Part of the reason why you want to do this podcast and why you've written the book is that you would like to have the Zero Hunger Project be recognized as a UN agency.
Absolutely. But also, what my final goal is to make the world speak to each other and collaborate. And I think to be able to do that, we need to have more conversations.
Yes.
And then we see the synergies that exist.
And in addition to that, we're hopefully going to teach everybody else and stuff. And then we're going to take all of that and we're going to turn it into something.
Hi, welcome back to our podcast, The Zero Hunger Project. I'm your host, Suman.
I'm Stacia.
And today is our last episode.
How many episodes have we done, Suman?
This is the 52nd.
52 episodes of a podcast. If you go and look at a regular, like a regular normal podcast on any of the streaming platforms, they do like how many episodes a season?
I don't even know.
Nowhere close to 52.
No, and
this has been a juggernaut.
It is, and a whole year, 52 weeks, 52 episodes.
Yeah.
Amazing guests.
Yes, phenomenal. Has this experience turned out the way that you hoped it would when we first had our first conversation about having a podcast?
Actually, no. It was much better than I would have ever expected.
Yeah.
And for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
I think, first of all, I had no doubt that with working with you, we will give out a great product.
Right.
That was never the doubt. And that was something I think we achieved. But what was way beyond what my expectation was is not only the quality of guests we had, but the quality of conversations we had.
Right.
I think that was not something I was expecting to be of this level.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you all who's watching, but the amount of learning that I had through this year, and I thought I knew everything, but no, I didn't.
And at the beginning of this whole conversation, when Suman and I were talking about doing a podcast originally, he said, we're going to do a podcast on food security. And I was like, what? Because that obviously is a part of social justice, but it's one of the platforms in which social justice plays out, right?
Absolutely.
And I said to him, I could probably do like an episode on food security and insecurity and having those conversations from a generalist social justice background. And he was like, no, we're going to do 52 episodes. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? But the learning for me has been extraordinary. And obviously, your rationale and my participation in this has always been, these are all social justice issues. So eventually it's all going to percolate back up to the idea of social justice.
And it has to.
Because it is.
Exactly. Yeah. It has to, because you can't have one or the other.
And that's why at the beginning I said, I don't know how much I can contribute to this. And you said, I know about food and food sovereignty and these types of poverty. And, that's my lane. And what I contribute to this is a general conversation about social inequality and social justice. And also, I think what has become very obvious to me is that I loved participating in this as somebody who knows nothing about what you're talking about. I mean, I understand because I read newspapers and I follow news. Like I'm educated and I'm interested. And
the deep dives.
But the details and the people with whom you're doing this incredible work, having access to that has been extraordinary. And to be taught all of the things that I've learned through this process has been a huge gift to me.
And to me as well.
Yeah.
The last 1 year has been a game changer for me.
Yeah.
For us as an organization, for me as a person. My understanding of the issues
Mhm.
have deepened so many folds. I
Mhm.
can't even explain.
And also, I've watched it sort of sharpen your vision on what it is that you're wanting to go after.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. And like it was a risk when we started
sure,
this,
yeah,
and risk not because risk of having a podcast,
sure.
but risk of the messaging,
Mhm.
risk of having quality guests.
Right.
Are we going to get good guests?
Yeah,
Would people come in?
yeah.
Um, but to see how it transformed, I remember the very early days of having at that time Ambassador Bob Ray
Yes.
be on our podcast. Like, hello,
Yeah,
Ambassador Bob
I
Ray.
know.
Like, sorry, he is a god to me, kind of a thing. It's always
He's
been.
he's a superstar for
He
sure.
is.
Yeah.
And just for him to be in our podcast talking about and that time he was a sitting ambassador to the UN for Canada,
Right.
and also the president of ECOSOC,
Yes.
which is Economic and Social Development for the UN.
Yes.
See, now I've learned how to spell it
Right.
out.
There you go. And
Otherwise, I would
also,
just moved on.
he wrote the foreword to your book.
Yes, he wrote a foreword to my book, but also for him to sit there and actually talk about the issues
Right.
in UN
Yeah.
the world is facing.
Yeah.
Like, sorry,
Yeah.
who are we?
Yeah, I know. That was
Like,
a huge gift.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
But since then, the amount of folks we had on this podcast,
And the countries that were represented.
absolutely. But even from our northern part of Canada,
Yep.
our indigenous communities, our
Yes.
territories, they are coming and talking about the food insecurity and the poverty issue and the hunger.
That element really has lit a fire in me personally in terms of my philanthropy and my interest in where my sort of social justice gaze is going. I've always had an understanding that things were not going well up north. I mean, and I don't wish to minimize that, like it's catastrophic, and I've known that for a
Mhm.
long time. But to be able to speak to people who are boots on the ground trying to move the needle in these remote, really suffering communities has really inspired me to want to get involved, get my family involved, right? Like
And those episodes were not good for my anger management.
no, it's really, really frustrating.
It
A
is.
lot of the conversations that we've had this year have been very hard. It's been hard to
It
hear.
is.
But that's where the growth happens. That's why I love doing this type of thing, because you need to bring all of these things to the fore. So you can't say that you don't know.
100%.
And my hope is that once people know better, they do better.
You have to know the problem.
Yeah.
If you put your blinders on, you're never going to solve it.
Right.
So I'm glad that we had some fantastic guests from the North, or
Right.
even guest who is talking about the North.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah. And in a country like Canada, I mean, again, this should go without saying, but those things shouldn't be happening.
Absolutely. But what another big thing for me was Finland.
Mhm.
I knew Finland is really advanced,
Right.
but just the whole point, and we had a ex-minister from Finland who
Mhm.
first brought it up,
Mhm.
and I knew that, but it never really struck me
He
like
was actually
that.
a cool dude. If you go back and watch, he did his interview in his car.
Yep, because his
And he was
kids were making a lot of noise at home.
And he was in jeans and a t-shirt. And
But what he said was absolutely striking.
Yeah.
That in Finland we did the school food in the middle of a war.
During a war, yeah.
Why are countries still
Yeah,
taking time?
It's not that hard, folks, is
No,
basically what he was saying.
exactly.
Yeah.
It took Canada years. We were the last G7 to have a school food program.
Okay, stop. We were the last G7 country to have a school food program.
Yes. And I am very happy that this year's budget actually formalized the permanency of that program.
Right.
Last year, when Prime Minister Trudeau announced that program, it was a 5-year pilot.
Right.
But this year, Prime Minister Carney actually formalized and said this is a permanent program.
Yeah.
But we were the last G7. Like, why?
Like, these are the kinds of things that the average person doesn't know. And this is the kind of stuff that gets me shouting at my radio when I'm driving in my car and I'm listening to these things and I'm screaming at, like, what do you mean we're the last country in the G7?
Exactly. And still now, till today, we are one of the countries who do not have proper food security for post-secondary students. And so far, we are not doing anything about it.
We have no clean running water in the Northern Territories.
Exactly.
So the fact that we also don't have food for post-secondary students doesn't surprise me all that much.
But we see some amazing programs coming out of Finland, as I keep saying, China on post-secondary food security. So there are countries who are doing a great job. Why are we failing our next generations? And that is a big question that I always have.
We've had conversations with autocratic countries who are doing more work than we are, different work, better work than we are. I mean, these are countries that are facing civil war, that have really managed, in spite of a lot of difficult challenges, to still concentrate on their citizenry in a way that Canada is still struggling to do.
It's so funny you say that. When I was in Doha, I met with somebody from the Qatari government.
Right.
And this gentleman told me, he said, our emir, our king, has one simple mission, that no Qatari or nobody who's living in Qatar will ever be hungry or die without treatment.
Right.
That's it. They will do whatever they can to make sure nobody's going to bed hungry and nobody's dying without treatment.
And listen, I understand Canada as one of the G7 countries has a lot of responsibilities internationally to kind of safeguard the world. And some of these other countries that we're talking about who have made huge advancements in their social programs don't have the same international responsibilities.
True.
So there's only so much you can do with the dollar, right? There's only so many places it can go. That being said, there are possibly some different decisions that could be being made 100%. In countries like Canada with where those dollars are being spent.
100%. And I'm all about global aid and development. But I wasn't that upset when in the last budget, we saw a 10% cut from Canada on global aid.
Right.
I wasn't that, of course, one part of me is sad that we are cutting that.
But again, there's only so many places
exactly, you need to invest in the right spots.
Right.
And it's not that we are completely shutting it down.
And also to understand what an unbelievably complicated issue this is, and how it's one 100%. Unbelievably complicated issue nested inside of 60,000 other unbelievably complicated issues, that it's all fine and good for us to sit here and be like, why aren't they doing that? Listen, there are some things that's the hill I'm going to die on. Like, why are we not looking after what's happening in the global north, right? Like that
100%.
That needs some immediate attention. However, there are also, other things that it's easy for me to sit here and be like, I don't know why they're not fixing that. I don't know why they're not fixing it. That's the other thing. I literally don't understand the breadth and scope of the problem.
And I consider myself to be a little bit savvy on these things.
Yeah.
But in September, I was in Africa at Senegal, and I was talking to some of the president of Rwanda there.
Right.
And I said, at this point, I do not, by any shape or form, want to be Minister Champagne or Prime Minister Mark Carney.
No.
Because I don't know what the right answers are and how are they going to prioritize.
Well, and they have people who are advising them.
Of course, they are. But
I also would just like to take a sidebar pause, because I want to say this. You started Feed Scarborough in your backyard during the pandemic.
Yes.
And you just finished saying the sentence when I was speaking to the president of Rwanda.
5 years. 5.5. Yeah, it's surreal.
Suman,
it's surreal. I'm very blessed.
Well,
I'm very blessed, very
you're
privileged.
blessed, but you're also, you are in it to win it, my friend. Like, you are very driven. You have so many qualities that are so well suited to this type of work. Your humanitarianism, you have a heart the size of Ecuador. It's been such a meteoric rise for you because you're so dedicated to this cause.
Thank you.
And it's incredible to watch. Like, I give you a hard time a lot about your name dropping of the countries that you go to. Like, I was in wherever last week, and next week I'm going wherever. And your passport must be exhausted. but that you're doing this on
I'm
behalf.
getting a new passport next year, so
Are you?
it's all clean.
You're doing this on behalf of Scarborough. You're doing it on behalf of Ontario. You're doing it on behalf of Canada. You're doing it on behalf of the global citizenry. And the work that you've done, I mean, you literally in the pandemic went out and bought a bunch of groceries and put them on your picnic table in your backyard to help some people who were struggling during the pandemic. And now you're part of the Canadian UN delegation going off and talking about food insecurity. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It is, but I got to say, none of this would happen without a strong team.
Yeah.
I can be the face and I can say whatever, but without a strong team, not only my staff,
Sure,
our coalition partners globally,
yeah,
our staff, of course, our volunteers,
and your family,
and family, of course, to let me even do this, because otherwise wouldn't be able to pull this off.
Right.
But even the volunteers, which I have to kind of emphasize on,
right,
because these are the folks who don't get paid.
Yeah.
They come week after week, and many of them are doing this for 5 years because they just want to help.
Yeah.
Like, really think about that. They are giving whatever they are giving away to come and help people.
Right.
And may it be at the food bank, may it be at our bridge program, or may it be just help us in getting our global name and coalition built.
Right.
We have volunteers in every facet of it, but folks are doing this.
Yeah.
Like, I get the limelight and I get to do some
The
cool stuff.
passport stamps.
Exactly.
In the presidential meetings.
Exactly.
Yes.
But nothing would have happened if we didn't have a strong, huge team behind us.
I love that.
And that is the most important part.
Yeah, it's so good. So, okay, I have a couple of questions for you. First of all, you're pleased with how everything has gone this season. Are we doing a second season?
What do you think?
We're doing a second season. Yes, I think we should do a second season.
So if she said no, I would be worried because I have a big list of people I really want to talk to because we just learned about 52 issues. There is a few 152s that's waiting. So I don't know. But yeah, I think we should.
Yes.
I don't think we have kind of figured out what direction we need to go with it.
Yeah.
But I think we should.
Okay.
And because as I was just saying, that I have ideas on who we would love to bring on this call.
And also, there are greater objectives that we're looking to achieve here, right? Like part of the reason why you want to do this podcast and why you've written the book and why you did the report card and all of these things is that you would like to have the Zero Hunger Project be recognized as a UN agency.
Absolutely. But also what my main final goal is to make the world speak to each other and work collaboratively.
Right.
That is the end goal.
Okay.
And I think to be able to do that, we need to have more conversations.
Yes.
And then we see the synergies.
Right.
That exist.
Right.
Like in one of our episodes, we were speaking with a medical doctor from Egypt.
Yes.
And we were talking about the things that he's trying to do. And then we realized we have another doctor that we
Toronto,
met in Toronto in one of our early podcasts.
Who's doing the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Like to bring folks together. And I think that is a very underlying responsibility of this podcast.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, talking about things is really good. But we are two doers as people on this planet. And to be able to do something with the talking is important. And I think it's incumbent upon us to do that because we have a platform. And because we have so many people that are doing the same type of work in different parts of the world who don't know each other.
Absolutely.
And so that's, I think, one of the goals, speaking loosely, that we'd like to pursue next season is to sort of like, what next? We've been having these conversations. We're going to continue to have them. I'm going to continue to learn 6 kajillion things about all kinds of stuff that I'm fascinated by, but know nothing about. And in addition to that, we're hopefully going to teach everybody else some stuff. And then we're going to take all of that and we're going to turn it into something. We just don't know what that something is.
I'm going to say it because what you told me yesterday, if it doesn't happen, don't quote me on this and don't hold me on this, but I can't keep a secret. So I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Your brilliant idea of trying to figure out how to do a summit.
Well,
especially with our guests.
The Zero Hunger Project Summit, I think, would be a fantastic opportunity to get people together and have breakout sessions on different topics and
get the people talking.
right.
I thought it was brilliant when
Yeah.
you told me yesterday about
Mhm.
this. And we're going to try and figure that out, what
Mhm.
that means. And we haven't really thought about it because it
Mhm.
was just yesterday's conversation.
Mhm.
But I thought it was brilliant.
Well, and I think to your point, it can be extrapolated out into a much larger conversation where if we can get these people talking, then why can't we get people at different levels of our government talking to each other and provincial
Exactly.
conversations, federal conversations with the provinces and territories? Like, if we can do this one, if anybody can do it, Suman, you can. And to go in and try and push that conversation up to a higher level to some decision makers and people, right? Because we want civil society and we want the
Absolutely.
NGOs, and we've had some government actors, having conversations. But if we can pull that up to a policy level, now we're talking.
100%.
Yeah.
And we certainly have globally
Yes.
made enough connection in the last 1 year
Right.
with decision makers and policy analysts, policy makers.
I also think it would be very cool for you to make a list somewhere, put it somewhere of all the places where you've been acting on behalf of the Zero Hunger Project and Canada in the last year.
So in my office, I have a world map where I put a pin.
I honestly think people would be astonished at what you have accomplished in a year, where you've been in a year.
It is, and it's all in a year.
Yeah. And as we were saying in the last one of the last episodes where you were talking about what happened in Doha and the sustainability summit.
World Summit for Social Development.
It's not in countries that you think. There's a lot of stuff happening in countries that you wouldn't think. We talked about Uzbekistan. We talked about Guinea. We interviewed in a previous podcast the UN ambassador to the Maldives. Places that are not countries that are at the forefront of your consciousness.
Absolutely.
And you've either been to those places or you're going to those places.
Exactly. But even think about Pakistan.
Yeah.
Who, at least, I don't know, probably people would, but I would have never thought how much the country of Pakistan may be in paper, may not be in action as much, talking about SDGs and incorporating the Sustainable Development Goals in their policies.
And also, we were talking about this earlier, but for an autocratic country to be doing that kind of work, and as you say, we're never going to know what kind of work they're actually doing. But on paper, outwardly facing, they're very motivated by, and they're doing it for their own reasons, and they're putting it through their own filters,
whatever the reasons,
whatever it is. But on paper, they seem to be really invested in the well-being of their citizens.
Absolutely. Look at Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
Their 2030 goals are different from the Sustainable Development 2030 goals.
Right.
But it's brilliant. And when I spoke to somebody very recently from Saudi Arabia government, and he said, no, we are going to achieve it.
Yeah.
It is not just aspirational like the SDGs.
Yeah.
This is achievable.
Yeah.
You speak to people on the street, the kids on the street, they all know the 2030 goals.
Yeah.
And that is how these kind of countries are making a huge difference currently.
Yeah.
So it's astonishing to learn, astonishing to see how they are doing. And it is really interesting and effective to figure out how can that be duplicated or scaled up in other countries.
And also, these are countries in a lot of cases that don't have a ton of resources, or they're under massive political pressure because of war, because of a litany of other reasons, socio-political, religious, all kinds of reasons, and they're still doing it. So then you look at countries like Canada who don't have those challenges, and we're not doing it. And that's the kind of stuff that I find infuriating.
It is.
So and so the more we can talk to people who can justify, rationalize, explain something to me as a regular person, why we're not doing the same things that some of these other countries who have very limited resources have absolutely dedicated themselves to doing, is a conversation I would like to have. I'd like to know. And I think other people would too.
100%. And I think this is why it is important for us to continue this conversation. In whatever shape or form it might be. But I think you're right. We should continue this some way or the other.
We need to get to the bottom of this. I want to know what's going on and how we can fix it. You can fix it. You're going to fix it.
I wouldn't just fix it. No getting bottom. Just get it.
Well,
Get
we
people
need
fed.
to figure out what the problem
Yeah,
is
get
before we
people
can solve
fed.
it.
Get people in houses.
That's right.
We're good to
Are
go.
you going to wear that blazer next season too? Because that's
I
a blazer.
love this. I love this. Yeah,
Your
if there
blazer's
is any
amazing.
colorful things, I love all of them. When I was at the World Summit for Social Development in Doha,
Mhm.
I had a full pink suit.
Nice.
I'm like, if
That
I'm in
doesn't
Doha,
surprise
I
me at
am
all.
wearing a pink
Of
suit.
course you
Who
are.
cares?
That's right.
And especially in a country where advocating for LGBTQ2S plus rights is a crime.
I love that. It was a political statement.
It was, and it was really well taken. People were coming and saying, "Oh, this looks so good." I'm
Well, I
like,
saw a
"Yep."
picture of you. You look sharp.
Yeah, I'm like, "Hey, I love pink. What
Yeah.
are you gonna say?"
Yeah.
But it was really a fantastic experience this one. Thank you for doing this with me, and I know we just talked about it and jumped right into it, and we figured out things as we did
Mhm.
this. But I'm so happy you did this, and so happy to have you as a part of this journey.
Oh, I'm really grateful, Suman. It's been a real pleasure to do this. It's been an incredibly positive experience for me, and I really look forward to what we're going to do next.
Amazing.
Mhm.
So thank you so much. If you are not following us yet, please follow us on social media, follow our channel, what we're going to do, when we're going to do. It'll be all on our socials.
And if there's something you want us to do, put it somewhere. Put it on social media.
YouTube or
Put it
wherever.
on YouTube. Send an email to Suman's office. Like,
Exactly.
explain to us what it is that you'd like us to talk about. If you think there's a guest we should have, if there's a book we're supposed to be reading, if somebody's doing something that's moving the needle on, food security and poverty reduction and harm reduction and sustainability, we want to know about it.
Absolutely. So till then, please, once again, follow us, talk about us, share our episodes. If you missed any, go back and watch. This is your time to watch them.
To catch up.
Exactly. And some amazing folks, once again, in our podcast. Thank you. You have a great day and the rest of the week.
We'll see you again.
Take care.
Bye.